Welcome, Traveler, to the Bloody Lightning Perfumer, who's obliterating any boss in seconds. Might it be the Elden Beast or anything else in the DLC, it's just vanishing from the lightning you're spewing onto them. And yes, it's working perfect to take out furnace golems. You don't even have to hit them in the face anymore. Just cast the Art of War on their feet and they just absolutely get demolished. We pair this together with a Deathknight twin axes to give us easy clear for any rabble on the way to the bosses, and with the power of Sepuku and blood loss for boosting our damage into infinity. First Perfumers bottle location, stats, talismans, everything. Let's go. And we're taking the Lightning Perfume Bottle because everything is weak to lightning damage. Now don't worry, I'll also walk you through the whole rotation, how to buff, then apply the Sepuku and what's so on to do the optimal boss damage. The Lightning Perfume Bottle can be found at the Cerulean Coast, and I'm going to make the marker on the map exactly here. And we start from the Cerulean Coast site of grace. Turn away from it, get on your horse, and simply ride over. It is quite simple. The only thing that's in your way is this furnace golem, which you could then afterwards just completely destroy. But you'll need the Ash of War first, because the standard Ash of War on perfume bottles is kick, and that's just not doing the trick or in any way leading to the absolute ultimate max damage that we're looking for. You do notice the marker already, and right here in between those lightning rams, this is where the perfume bottle is just simply waiting for you on this very corpse. Done. Next step is the Ash of War, and that's at the High Road Cross right here on top of the hill. Teleporting, riding straight up to the encampment, there's going to be another furnace golem in the middle, causing some commotion. And if you didn't pick it up, there is a scatter tree fragment. I had the golem just destroy all the tents and I could pick it up. On the hill, you'll find a bunch of perfumers, exactly what you're trying to become. And not only that, there's a flying scarab. Yes. Bring a bow or any kind of ranged incantation, something, because you need to bibbity bob the scarab out of the sky to actually be able to get the Rolling Spark Ash of War. That Rolling Spark Ash of War is quite interesting because it has two uses. It makes the perfume bottle ranged, or it can overload damage on the spot. Riding past the perfumers, and then we get here the dude flying in the sky, shoot him down, kill him, Rolling Spark. Rolling Spark can be used in two ways. Either you point it at the ground, so there's most explosions happening at the same time right at the ground, or you can actually lock into your opponent and then just shoot it forward into him. Those are the two uses. The Rolling Spark for clearing, like if you're pushing through content and don't want to use a different weapon, is making this quite simple, right? But this wouldn't work against a boss because it goes like through the boss. So versus a boss to have all these explosions happening, you look at the floor and then just it's like 5 to 6 procs on the boss itself straight there. Now you get the star of the show, and we need the support for it. First, the armor set, and that is RAKSHASA's armor. That gives you 2% more damage, but you also take 2% more damage for every piece. The mask is going to be the white mask. And for the white mask, we have a whole video in the description below that perfectly explains how to pick this up in the main game for the RAKSHASA's armor. And the easiest way to get there is from the storehouse first floor in the Shadow Key, because it's a hidden region that you have to unlock first. Turn around and head down the elevator, murder the Fire Knight in front of you, and then just go to the left. And there you'll find a ladder that you probably missed 20 times over. I did. Here's Dead Dave. And you're going down this very specific ladder, which brings you down in the water region. And you go through that waterfall. Don't you dare jumping down this ladder, because that will just kill you. And this will actually bring you into a lower hidden region where you can fight 2 furnace golems for more cerulean tiers, which is kind of cool. Turn to the right. This time fall down, and then you have to take a coffin to the bottom of it. Yeah, I know. What the fuck? Now you have arrived at the castle watering hole with the ruins of Anti. and you're simply just riding through the water until you hit the Recluse River upstream. Now I'm showing you this because I want to put out a warning. Do look at your screen, since you can easily die here. That is death number 1. Happened to me because I was talking to chat, and that is death number 2. Happened to me back to back. Yes. I wish I wasn't this stupid, but I am. Now you're bumping over this, ignore the flyboys, and to your left you do actually see those graves. That is exactly where we need to go. There is actually 2 ways down there. You can go over the graves, or you go here, pick the downstream side of graves. After picking the downstream side of graves, you can also walk over these graves. The cool part is, as you're walking over these graves, you can not only make it down to the first waterfall where we want to go. So this is waterfall number 1. That's where we need to go. But there is a lower region below you, this one, and there is 2 hippos on number 5 that have 2 Scadutree fragments. Now I almost sprinted down there like an idiot. But we are now at the Recluse River downstream, made it 1 further down over the graves, and we're heading in the direction of RAKSHASA's tomb. She is relatively easy to kill, especially if you have something to perma-stagger like the 2 axes we're wielding. Don't worry, I'll show you the Catacoomb where the 2 axes are as well. This is RAKSHASA's tomb, there's RAKSHASA's armor, check mark, done. For the Deathknight twin axes, you have to get to the Fog Rift Catacombs, and these can be easily reached over the castle front. You essentially just ride this down. And there you have to fight a Deathknight, which has the twin axes for you. Interesting though, the Catacombs have 3 hidden items, including the best summon in the game right now, because he's a super tank with a tank aura called the Black Knight Commander Andreas. I did actually use him against Radahn in my first playthrough, and his aggro is so he never loses aggression from the enemy. And he is just incredibly tanky on top of that. He's just holding down the fort versus Radahn. These 3 hidden items, including the summon, are in the other video linked in the description below. Now to our talismans and then to the spells. And the fun part is we're playing not a single one from the DLC. We're using the Perfumers talisman, which raises the potencies of arts employing perfume. This is on the Altus Plateau. You start at the Abandoned Coffin or the Erdtree Gazing Hill, and then you just make your way to the Perfumers ruins. We're right now here in front of the ruins. Just go in. There's one of these butcher guys with the double cleaver. You can ignore this and ride all the way to the back where the flower is. And here we're breaking the ground. Ta-da. There's a chest with that talisman. 0 fighting, just pick it up. Next one would be the Lightning Scorpion Charm, which raises lightning attack but lowers damage negation. Sure, you take more damage, but hey, lightning is everything we do. I mean, hell, even our axes are doing lightning damage. And for this, you have to go for the Windham Catacombs, and they're at the Windham Ruins. For this, we begin at the Erdtree Gazing Hill, and then simply right up to where you have a Tibia Marina. That one you can just kill for the shits and giggles if you do not personally dislike or like some undeads. Activate the statue or not, but you simply have to ride up the hill through the ruins, and there in the very back, you'll find the catacombs. Now, you should be taking a stone sword key with you, because there is an illusion you need to break to essentially pick up the item. Step number 1, buy yourself a stone sword key. This is where the catacombs are. Activate the Site of Grace, and it's quite a straightforward one, with the only caveat that, well, you technically have to backtrack all the way later to kill the boss. Don't actually need to kill the boss for the Lightning Scorpion Charm. The enemies are a tad bit annoying. There are these imps that are throwing lightning bolts, but you ignore them. You simply just press the forward button and run through everything here. And they're going to be trying to kill you, but hey, we get feet. We can run. We're down here in the water. Be a bit careful because there's a knight that wields lightning, and we're in the water versus a knight that wields lightning, which can be always a bit tricky. That's what we have this weapon here for, to essentially just bully him, bully everything, right? It's really funny. I just enjoy this weapon to the max. Make it up the ladder to the tibbity tobbity. Tall. And then this is where you dispel the fog wall, and zip zap, you get the scorpion charm. Done. The warrior jar shard boosts the attack power of skills. This one can be interchanged to the ritual sword talisman, which raises attack power when HP is at maximum. Both are actually very good, and I would recommend to pick each of them up. The warrior jar shard is at the extreme beginning at the game. We're going to begin at the War Master's Shack, right in the first Limgrave starting zone. And then we're heading to the right alongside the road. Here you have two choices. You can either do the quest of Warrior Jar Alexander as you're playing through the main game, which will give you a bigger potency version of the talisman. I guess if you're going to play a lot, it's worth it. Right up to the right side. Or if you just do want to have it straight away, you're going to help him get out of the hole with a heavy attack, and then you're going to murder him straight away. Done. Congrats. For the Ritual Sword Talisman, which raises the attack power at max HP as mentioned, which is actually very good for clearing areas instead of the Lord's Blood's Exultation, because the Lord's Blood's Exultation raises my attack power when blood loss happens in the vicinity. This one is needed for ultimate boss damage, but it's not needed for pushing through stuff. So for pushing through stuff, I tend to take Ritual Sword Talisman 9 out of 10 times. And that was on the Altus Plateau. You can start at the Highway Junction, and then you're riding back to the left. There's the Lux Ruins, and inside a underground room is the Beast Queen for the talisman. And now to the Lords of Blood Exultation. Step 1 is teleporting to the Avenue balcony in Leyendell City. And then you make your way down the stairs, jump over the railing, and then get into the well. And no worries, this part here is a little bit sped up. The complicated roundabout part in the maze, I'll do in normal style talk along. After getting that side of grace, go over the floor, roll down the ladder, and then make sure that on that wooden board, you right hit the middle to land on the pipe below. Be careful with the stupid lobsters. They'll try to eat your booty. Roll your way past them and get the next side of grace. Now, here's this little hint. There's 2 items behind you at the lobsters that you want to get after getting the side of grace. There's a Somber Smithing Stone 7, which is always nice to have. And yes, one of the earlier times you can actually get a Somber Smithing Stone 7. And there's the shackle for Moog. The same shackle exists for him as did for Margaret the Fell Omen to make the fight easier for you. Navigating the next part can be stupid, so we're doing a normal pacing style video. You head downwards and this door is closed. Go left. Jump over the altar and get up the stairs. This is where we will return to. But in order to return here, there is a lot of roundabouts to take. After going up the ladder, you see the room, turn right. There's fire happening. You don't really care for the fire. You're going to let it blast down. And we're not going to the statue. We're going past the statue. On the right. You know you're right when you see the big statue. Then head to the right again, and there's one big dude. You know you're also correct. Jump straight down. Turn to the left. Straight. Turn to the right. Stairs up. You want to go the stairs up. See a room in front of you that's empty? Turn around. Another one of these. This looks eerily similar to where we have been before, right? This time, you go to the connector and head to the statue and bonk it downwards. Bonk. Hit it again and get upwards. You see this altar room with the statue? You're correct. This is where you want to be. Turn to the right again. And if you do notice that these 2 imps are there, and the pit where you can fall into, you die if you fall in there. You're on the correct track. Jump down the ladder and then make your way straight down. And this is exactly where everything started. Pull the lever, jump down, turn around, it goes up, and it goes straight. If we're going straight, you return back to where everything has started. Boom. Then you can rest at the site of grace and do the boss fight. Just to give you a picture on when to do this, I am level 92 and my weapon is currently +9 upgraded. The boss is Asgar, Priest of Blood, and he has 2 dogs with him. Now, the dude himself is quite simple because he can actually get staggered, which is quite nice. You should look out though because, well, he does have the Reduvia and he does some other shebangs and, well, yeah. But, I mean, the damage he takes is quite significant. So with a +9 weapon and maybe a summon, you should be able to do him very early. After you pick all of this up, we're not done because we need the Sepuku Ash of War and we need to talk about spells. Why the Sepuku Ash of War? Well, we're having this longsword with us, and before we start doing our incredible damage for the boss, we essentially apply Golden Vow for that 20% damage buff and the damage negation, and then we're doing the Seppuku, and that gives us a huge damage boost because blood loss happened in the vicinity. Especially if you're then using the Black Knight Commander Andreas on top, he'll hold the aggro, you get your buff off, and then boom, delete the boss in 2-3 seconds. For that Ash of War, you have to travel to the mountaintop of giants, and here in the frozen lake, there will be one of these invisible scarabs. And the position is exactly on my marker number 3. You just right up there, and then there is around this broken tree. So you have the one jellyfish, and then we have that broken tree I'm steering onto. There's one of these invisible scarabs going in a circle. I did actually use the Perfumers bottle to just easily sit in his path and get him destroyed. And that gets you the Seppuku Ash of War. And then you're just buying yourself a longsword from the crones to put the Ash of War onto it. Why a longsword is only 3.5 weight. So we can easily wear it together with all my equipment. That's 1, 5.5, and 3.5. Just 10 weight as our equipment with 3 weapons. Medium load, easy. Could almost go for light load here. And lastly, our spells, we talked about it. We just have the standard finger seal, nothing fancy. And we're simply using Golden Vow as our spell for the bonus damage and the bonus damage negation. But since we're 74 faith, that's our status sheet right now. We're level 183, it's 74 faith. We're actually more than good enough to pick up any spell you want to. Any super high face spell that you're interested in, that you come along, that you kind of want to use, just slap it on. Now, how would the rotation look like in a boss fight before a boss fight? Before you enter the boss room, you can always do Golden Vow because that one lasts for 90 seconds. Yes, it's the longest. You essentially have your perfume bottle in hand, go from 2-handed to 1-handed, and then you can simply just cast Golden Vow with your finger seal equipped. Boom. That's a 90-second buff. The potion, the Wanderer's Physique, you want to drink right before you're striking because that one is one of the lower lasting buffs. And then you're going to swap your weapons twice over to your Seppuku weapon and essentially commit Seppuku. Now I accidentally used this and we're committing Seppuku. You swap over to your perfume bottle and you're ready to just bang it away with your R2 and completely obliterate the boss. If you do want to make this safer, you can then summon the Black Knight Commander Andreas just before this rotation with the Seppuku to essentially have him hog all the aggro and you're just exploding the enemy easily. And now to the stats. And for level 150 character, you'd be looking at 60 Vigor, 20 Mind, 25 Endurance, 20 Dexterity, and 70 Faith. Why so much Mind? To have enough FP to summon the Black Knight Commander Andreas if you then wish to use him. And the faith, you want as high as possible to use any incantation. Technically, you want to bring that up to 72 because that allows some of the even bigger incantations. Now, lastly, we have the Flask of Wondrous Physiques, which actually gives a buff to our lightning damage as well. And for this, you go to the Church of Vows and then ride all the way to this minor Earth Tree because it's going to give you the Lightning Shrouded Crack tier. Temporarily boosts lightning attacks in mixed physique to give you even more damage. You can pair this together with the Opaline Harp tier to temporarily boost all damage, negation, and physique to essentially block an attack, or the Stone Barb Crack tier that I've actually been using against Golems to really get them on their knees and then burn their feet into pieces with my lightning. Ladies and gentlemen, tell me in the comments below, how are you liking this build? If it's working as good for you as it is for me. We actually have a live stream playthrough on the channel where we go through the whole DLC in a super speed run with this build, just to kind of show off the life value on this build. But if rather arcane is your playstyle, here's Mock's Spear build, which actually beat the DLC for me the first time. Later, I swapped over to the chicken leg for more fun, but Mock's Spear build is absolutely broken too. Enjoy.